This meeting of the Herkimer County Legislature to order, and I'd like to ask Darlene Hammond to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask that we stand for a moment of silence for our current and deceased veterans. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Hartman.
Here.
Rose. Schrader.
Here.
Manine.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Hyde.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Mano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
Ackerman. Kaplinski.
Here.
Horst.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Weekly.
Here. Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections or corrections to the minutes of May 16th and May 22nd? If there are none, I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented for audit by the legislature. There's nothing on the desk. We'll now dispense with our regular session to allow for a presentation of proclamation by legislator Mr. Bernie Koplinski.
Proclamation. Whereas the Herkimer County Legislature recognizes the importance of the dairy industry in our communities and appreciates the ease and convenience of the entire chain of good dairy products, and whereas milk and milk byproducts are nature's most perfect food, whose vitamins, calcium, and minerals contribute so much to our health and vitality all year long, and whereas we also set aside time to pay tribute to the county's dairy princess, alternate and ambassadors, whose work in community events, meetings, and schools help educate and promote the dairy industry all throughout the year. And whereas we salute this year's new dairy princess, Anna Douglas, and members of the court, Ambassadors Kelsey Collins, Carly Sherwood, Victoria Treadwell, Carly Schwaznick, Dave Johnson, Stephanie Treadwell, and Allison Donahue for their dedication to the citizens of this county. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Vincent J. Bono, Chairman of the Herkimer County Legislature, do deem it fitting and appropriate to proclaim the month of June 2012 as Dairy Princess and Court Week and Dairy Month in Herkimer County, and encourage all citizens to join in this celebration. Dated June 13, 2012. Given under my hand the great seal of the County of Herkimer, New York, in the year of our Lord, 2012. Vincent J. Bono, Chairman of Herkimer County Legislature. Before I let Anna speak, I'm very proud. She just lives down the road from us in my district, 13th of Herkimer County. She's very involved with agriculture. And sort of reminiscing, her grandmother and my wife lived next door to one another in another county a number of years ago. Anna, forward.
Thank you, Bernie. I have to do a personal thank you to Mr. Koplinski because he is the representative for my town or for my district. I live on a dairy farm that has 200 acres. On my dairy farm with my family, we milk 47 Holstein and Jersey cows. Our milk is shipped to Agrimark, which is then given to, or goes to Cabot to make cheese, which is the cheese that I have served you guys tonight. On the dairy farm, my responsibilities include doing calves, milking in the milking parlor, and helping clean barn. This year, as the Herkimer County Dairy Princess, my goal is to educate all ages on the importance of milk and the dairy industry. By doing so, I have done many school programs, I have done a few farm meetings, and I've also done an egg day at the Mount Markham Elementary School. And I will also be at HCCC in the fall for an egg day there. I also hope to work with Vic Nutrition and do a dairy program there. And if you guys have any events that you'd like me to do or need to get a hold of me in some way, you can easily contact me and at Herkimer County Dairy Princess or HC Dairy Princess at hotmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck. I'd like to now call Darlene Hammond, Strategic Planning Coordinator, to make a presentation to the recognition received by the White House Council for Community Solutions. Yes, absolutely.
Hi, everybody. It was my pleasure to represent Herkimer County at the White House Summit on Community Solutions for Disconnected Youth, which was held on June 4th, 2012 at the White House. And at the summit, the findings of the White House Council for Community Solutions were presented to the chair of the White House Domestic Policy Council and will be used to guide policy and funding as it relates to future work with disconnected youth across the country. The White House Council for Community Solutions was established by President Obama by executive order in December 2010 and has worked to identify, encourage growth, and maximize the impact of cross-sector community collaboratives that engage all citizens to help solve our nation's most serious problems. At the summit, national leaders were able to learn more about policy recommendations, which are scheduled to be implemented in 2013, and these are the actual policy recommendations that were given. Herkimer County was invited to the summit because we were identified by the White House Council as one of 12 communities across the country that have been successful in making and measuring significant change in an area of identified need. And in this county, it was the reduction of foster care placements and residential care days for at-risk PINS youth. The Bridge Span Group, working with the council, spoke to over 100 successful community collaboratives across the country before they narrowed it down to the 12. Copies of the Bridge Span case study written about Herkimer County, the White House Summit agenda, and a summary of the White House recommendations have been distributed to all of you in your green folders in case you want to take a look at those. And a portion of the White House Summit relating to the development of successful cross-sector community collaboratives was broadcast live on that day on the White House website. And during that broadcast, White House Council member John Bridgeland talked about 3 of the 12 communities and their accomplishments. And those 3 were Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Stockton, California, and Herkimer County. So that was wonderful to hear that and to be present for that. A video of that is available on the White House YouTube website in case anybody's interested in taking a look at that. This recognition that Herkimer County received is a direct result of the ongoing collaborative efforts that exist here in Herkimer County. First and foremost, with and between our county departments. The county department directors, many of whom are here tonight, and the Commissioner of Social Services, both past and present, who work very, very hard on this initiative. Health and Human Service agencies across the county, school districts, law enforcement, family court, the community college, community representatives, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a vast number of people, and I don't mean to, but there's been so many people involved in this initiative, and they all should be applauded for their work, because without them, this would not have been successful. So I want to thank everyone for being a part of it. This is also possible because we have used data strategically to identify needs, to make decisions about the best services that we should provide for our youth and families in the county, and to evaluate the progress that we've made in changing the outcomes for kids and families in the county. And finally, and something that as a planning coordinator is so, so important, is the leadership and the vision that's been shown by Jim Wallace, our Herkimer County Administrator, by our legislative chairman, both present and past, and by all of you here in the Herkimer County Legislature. for making an investment in prevention services that improve the lives of kids and families in Herkimer County, and at the same time reduce taxpayer dollars spent on these initiatives. So I want to thank all of you for being a part of this as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. I just want to say what a great, I know we tooted our horn on this a couple times, but what a great honor. If you had a chance, go to that YouTube or the website, the White House website, and it is, you know, it gives you goosebumps when you hear Herkimer County mentioned at the White House with those other communities. So if you get a chance to watch it. Again, Darlene, thanks to you, Jim Wallace, and the entire team, because that's what it is. It's a team of many, many people and groups, and we should all be proud. So we are making a difference. We'll continue on.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr.
the legislature is not in order. We have a duly sworn legislator that has not answered the roll call.
Mrs. Rose, Mrs. Rose, are you here?
I'm not here as a legislator.
If you're not here, then you won't be able to participate.
I'm here as a citizen at this point in time. I'm not here as a legislator. Thank you.
So you're not participating in this evening's
I'm not
proceedings?
participating at this point, Mr. Vaughn, as a legislator.
Last chance.
I'm not here as a legislator at this point in
Okay,
time.
I see that you're signed up for resident comment. You will not be allowed because you are a legislator.
I'm here as a citizen. That's why I'm not sitting in the legislative seat, Mr. Vaughn.
I'd ask for an opinion by Mr.
I'm sure.
Hold on.
The comments by residents section, it's Rule 11, is intended for comments by residents on topics. It is not intended for discussion or any matter which might be debatable in the legislature, which might be the official business of the legislature, because there's no debate structure set up there. If there is a matter which is the official business of this legislature, that would be referred to the appropriate committee, and the debate would take place within that committee, not in a situation where a legislator would apparently ask for the right to make statements or speeches to the legislature. That's not our structure, and in my opinion, that it would be out of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bono, I'm here as a resident at 101 Fowler Ave in Herkimer, New York. I'm not here as a legislator. I am a citizen of
Mr.
this
Chairman,
county.
point of order. We don't have communications with equal board members.
Just follow.
I will concur with Mr. Malone's opinion and take a vote. So we'll move on to legislator's comment. I'm sorry, comment by residents. So we'll ask that you hold your comments for 5 minutes apiece, a total of 30 minutes, and I'll first call on Carl Streeter, who has signed up, and his subject matter is perceptions of my jail proposals that I've made to the Village of Herkimer.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, will you please allow the record to show that Helen Rose is now present for the meeting? I'm targeting.
Please place her on the roll. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to talk about perceptions, not only of Mr. Bono's comments on his 3 proposals, but while he mentioned that I will revert back to that press conference, during which time he talked about $600,000 or thereabouts of improvements to the jail back in '06. His perception. My perception is that $600,000 was a manifestation of horribly negligent maintenance at the jail. We were called to task by the state because we were so far in violation of New York State property law that they felt compelled to write us up. We felt compelled to get a price from Club Harbor. It was $690,000. I guess we came in a little under $600,000. Perceptions: glass half full, glass half empty. $600,000 of improvements. No, $600,000 of past due maintenance. Another thing that Mr. Bono said at that press conference that reflects his perception, and I'll give you mine. He reminded the press that the jail operates 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we don't really appreciate that. My perception is that hotels run 24/7, hospitals run 24/7, chemical processing plants run 24/7, any continuous process operation runs 24/7, and they manage to keep their facilities with proper maintenance going for a little longer than 30 years. The perception of this group, led by Mr. Goma, previously by Mr. Smith, is that the proper way to resolve the overcrowding at the jail is to build a new jail and to do it with a team who operate outside the open meetings law, the team being a more efficient way to do it. And that's his perception, and I guess Mr. Smith's perception. Mine is that it's a deliberate violation of the open meetings law and your own rules and regulations. The rules are quite clear about issues coming to the appropriate committee. Certainly the jail belongs with the Public Safety Committee, and the $34 million belongs with the Ways and Means Committee, but neither committee meets on it. The rules also say if neither committee is up to the task, then we form a special committee and assign them the duties of resolving the problem. That didn't get done here. What we have is I'm going to say a secret team. I still don't know who they are. We can't find out. They don't reflect the people that have been voted into office. It's curious, if you look at the rosters of the Public Safety Committee and the Ways and Means Committee, they're the same guys, the same people, the same, I think they're all gentlemen. 4 of them aren't bothering to get together and meet, but here's this monumental problem facing us, threatened with a $34 million cost, and we aren't using the people that the constituency voted in. We're doing it with some hired help. We're doing it with the county attorney. We're doing it with the county administrator. We're doing it with some of the sheriff's staff. We aren't doing it with the people who should be doing it. And I say to you who share assignments on those committees that you should be ashamed of yourselves. You ought to be up on your back legs barking and saying, hey, I've got a stake in this. I've got an opinion on this. I've got something to say about it, and I demand that we meet as a committee so that it can be discussed and documented and released to the public. Because right now, the public doesn't know what's going on. My legislator tells me they keep me informed by saying, Mr. Johnson, they tell you what they want to tell you. Other perceptions go on. The size of the jail, your perception of the need to cover 57 people on average is 130 bed, expandable to 155 with a core of 220. My perception is that's overbuilt, terrible overbuilt. I'll let it go with that. Now, I was here a couple of months ago, and
30 seconds.
Thank you, and asked about the wherewithal or the where being of the Resolution 53. I was talking that night about the seeker and how the seeker was filled with all kinds of errors. And reminded you that the seeker was authorized, $170,000, by Resolution 53. It doesn't appear in the public record.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
It was moved by the legislature. It's in the public record. Please take a look at it.
I'm
getting sick of the
I've looked at the public record.
We looked the next morning, the first thing at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Show me the courtesy of keeping quiet when I'm talking.
Yeah, but you're misspeaking all the time. You're misspeaking all the time. You accused us in December.
Does Mr. Wallace have the ability to
I'm
speak?
asking you to quell. Your time is up. Your comments in the past have been erroneous and filled with misinformation. I suggest that next time you come up to this podium that you get your information straight beforehand, and instead of apologizing later.
You're not going to get the last word in. You're not going to get the last
Point
word.
of order, Mr. Chairman. You debate the issues when the citizens come.
You debate this in the appropriate committees.
The appropriate committees, you don't use the appropriate committees.
Have a seat.
Yes, sir.
Listen, people, you may not like me, but you will respect this position of chairman. I'm running this meeting. This is not a one-person agenda here. Okay?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to everybody. It's not a show we put on that once a month, okay? Maintain law, order, and decorum here. We'll move on. Quiet. I'll ask you to be removed. One more comment from you, Mr. Streeter. You have a legislator. Go through your legislator.
Compared to me, Mr. Freer.
Quiet, Mr. Hartman. We're moving on. Please raise your hand if you want to be addressed. I'm sorry. Mr. Russell.
I think Mr. Wallace had some interesting information that I'd like to learn about. Is that something that we can talk about now?
Mr. Chairman, point of order in terms of the agenda.
I'll allow it at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Communications received by the legislature and committees to which they've been referred are listed on the agenda. Does any member of the legislature request mention of any particular communication? There are none. Pursuant to Rule 6, Number 8, report of standing committees. I'll ask if there are any committee chairmen who wish to report or make remarks on the progress of any issue that comes under the committee. Mr. Russell.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask Mr. Wallace to report on the fact that resolution number 53 is within our record.
I will allow that.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, was that a report on the committee, or is that an agenda item for later? It's a report of a committee that has met recently?
Would you like to add it?
What's it say? Committee reports on our
Yes. It should be on your committee report. I said I entertained that at the end. Would you defer to that? Could you give a report?
So what you're saying is if it's not on our agenda, then we can't bring something up.
You can bring it up, but I will refer it to the committee for either the reopening of debate.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Would you like to give a report, Mr. Russell? On your
No,
committee?
we're fine. Everything that we're doing within our resolutions tonight is reflected in those things that we might bring to the committee.
Thank you. Any other chairman? Mr. Poplinski?
We've got a couple of items. First of all, Karen Zipko, our Working Solutions Manager, has been keeping up to date as far as some of our summer programs. Herkimer County's got some excellent youth summer programs. We received their funding for TANF, and this involves 80 youth who will be employed for the summer. I think we had something like 200 applications. There's a waiting list now. And these youth basically are youth that it's based on their parents' earnings and whatever else. We have our College Core program. Here's another program where our youth are involved in an intern program with our businesses or our industries in our area. We have some 25 youth that are juniors or seniors in college right now that are going to be working with these different businesses. They also Remington Arms is constantly requesting referrals of people as far as job. They'll have what they call job orders, and they've referred some 800 people over there, and these are the people that they use to select their employees. She doesn't have a number for that. Another youth program that we've got, and there's a lot of counties that wish they had the program that we have here in Herkimer, is our Herkimer County Youth Program. We employed some 323 youth during the summer. And just down my way, I've had parents from Oneida County, from Madison County, from Otsego County, calling and asking me about youth programs. Do they have them in their counties? Who can they get in touch with? Their counties are that can't fathom the program that we have here. They just think it's great. And like I say, we've got 323 youth that work part-time through the summer. And it gets them started as far as looking to earning a living down the road and maybe finding an interest or whatever else. One other thing, today in our committee meeting, we had Mark Feen came in and John Kasich regarding 3 IDA projects that we've got in the works. And a couple of projects they're working with the town of Frankfurt. One of them is going through the county basically. But we're talking 3 projects that will involve some close to $20 million overall bringing in another 185 employees. One of them is the Orioles, 55 new employees, a $5.1 million project. Northern Safety, 55 new employees, $33.6 million project. Gold Metal Packing, 75 new employees, $10 million. This is just a preliminary work on this, but this is something, who knows, down the road, they could be bringing or hiring people in our county, putting people to work. And I think the people in our IDA are doing an excellent job. It's just good to see some of the things that are happening. We have over in the old Skinner DeMulos, tractor supply, right? They're starting to take that building down now, and they're going to be hoping to be in there, I believe, before Christmas in their new facility. A Steve Ponte, auto dealer just down 28. They've spent over $1 million for remodeling in that. We've got a lot of good things happening in Herkimer County, and hopefully it keeps going. I think once things start, they will keep going. So, other than that, I appreciate it.
All positive stuff, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Public Safety met, we went over the annual report of the sheriff and the April report of the sheriff. The April report reflected 82.33 inmates on an average, daily average, and averaging 57 boarded out. Just as a point of interest, in May we spent $156,000 for boarding out. There was a higher number, but that included some medical issues.
About 17,000.
Yeah, about 17,000 in medical, above and beyond that. One of the nicer things, we've got an affiliation agreement with Oneonta allowing students to go intern at the DA's office, so that cleared that up, or we're going to ask for that. Sheriff got a $38,000 grant from the Thruway Canal Corporation and the authority to aid in our navigation, particularly in those areas. And then we're looking at lag sets for some cells that we have down to repair those. And we'll also approved state annual probation and alternatives to incarceration.
Thank you. Any other chairperson? Mr. Smith.
The Human Resource Committee met with the Ways and Means Committee, and we have 3 agenda items tonight. One is in connection with funding for long-term care. The second one is staffing for mental health services, and the last one would be exercising an option for transportation of preschool handicapped children.
Anyone else? Move on. All right, move on to the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the title of each resolution on the consent agenda?
132 is Highway Committee adopting the annual report of the Superintendent of Highways. 133 is Public Safety and Emergency Management approving the annual report of the Sheriff. 134 is Ways and Means with annual financial report of the Treasurer. And 135 is Public Safety and Emergency Management with the monthly report of the Sheriff.
Any motion?
I would ask that the annual report of the sheriff not be included in the consent agenda, please. I want to comment on it, unless I can comment under this.
Under discussion, you may.
Okay.
Any motion? Ms. Manning, second by Mr. Russell. Any discussion? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, at the last monthly meeting, I spoke about the need for perhaps more detail in the sheriff's report. And at the committee meeting, Mr. Wallace was very gracious and supplied me with annual copies of the sheriff's report going back to 2006. I think that when we talk about the size of our facility, one of the mitigating factors often has been the segregation as well as the sentence versus unsentenced. And I thought that the Sheriff's Department might be able to do graphs for us, and Mr. Hendricks, the chairman of that committee, referred it to the sheriff, and it was reported at the last meeting that it would be a cumbersome process. It would be too staff intensive. We do have a software system on it, so I was going to do it myself, but the data elements are not really readily available. And I think when we talk about the size of a facility that we're going to build, and we hear when we can only fill it to about 80% because of the segregation, and then we have sentenced and unsentenced, I would hope that the data elements would be made available. And I mention it now only because it's absent in this report. I'm not going to vote against, obviously, accepting it, but it is something that I'm going to be inquiring of the Public Safety Committee as well as the Sheriff's Office to gain that information. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Debate. Mr. Rose.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If you take a $3.5 million jail operating budget and you add $1 million to that, you come up with $4.5 million. And if you take an average daily population of 56 and you divide into that $4.5 million, and then you divide it again by 365 per day, it costs us $200 a day to house somebody in our jail. We're spending $400,000 on a public defender program. We're spending $1.5 million on probation. And there's no watchdog supervision over what our courts are doing. They operate the way they wish to operate. A big concern for size of our jail are that we may be forced to take D&E felons in the future from the state. But probably at this given moment, the people that are charged are D&E charges. We do it all on the front end, and then we offer them time served, and then we move it on to so many months or years of probation on top of that, and then have public defenders covering their costs. This is beyond what the taxpayers of this county can continue to afford. I believe in the separation of the legislative branch and the judiciary. It's got to operate in its own realm. But the results of what that judiciary does needs to be accountable to the taxpayers. That's where we come in, and that's what we should demand, is some kind of accountability. The Sixth Amendment to the Constitution demands a right to a speedy trial for an individual. I think the taxpayers ought to demand a right to a speedy trial for some of these guys. So I think this legislature should figure out a way that, in conjunction with the annual and monthly reports of the sheriff, we should have an annual and monthly report coordinated with the district attorney. We should have an annual and monthly report coordinated with our public defender program, an annual monthly report of the probation department. And it all should be coordinated and put in front of us, and then we should in turn turn around and give that to the taxpayers, because the amount of cost for the amount of justice they're getting is woefully inadequate. And I sometimes question also the political connections of the local attorneys and the courts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, two different occasions tonight, you wouldn't allow me to talk about one specific thing that I wanted Mr. Wallace to discuss. Yet you just let Mr. Corse discuss something that was not on the agenda and had nothing to do with the 4 items that we were looking at. So I'm a little confused in regards to how this process is going to work.
This is debate, Mr. Russell. It's part of his comments under debate. I allow it. I didn't say anything wrong. If you're going to introduce something, it's already been...
It certainly wasn't germane to a report on the sheriff. I'm just trying to understand what's happening here with the agenda items.
I found it within the limits of the resolution. He was making a statement under debate. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolutions passed. We start 136.
Public Safety and Emergency Management authorizes an affiliation agreement with State University of New York, Oleana, for student internships.
This resolution authorizes an agreement for student internships for SUNY Oleana in the District Attorney's Office. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second. Mr. Smith and Mr. Hyde. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 137.
Highways and Ways and Means authorizing the execution of a release agreement with Atlantic Wind.
This resolution authorizes a release agreement to terminate the road use agreement with Atlantic Wind in connection with the Hard Scrabble Wind Farm project. May I have a motion? Mr. Poplinski, second by Mr. Weekly. Any debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution 137 passes. 138 is voice vote.
Highways approving project under Article 6 of Highway Law.
This resolution approves the military road project under the capital construction project. May I have a motion? Mr. Weekly, second by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? Mr. Corsi.
Mr. Chairman, because of the excess that we had, because the bids came in lower than we anticipated, we were able to do these additional projects. So that's good news for the people of Herkimer County that need these highways.
Always. Any other debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 139, voice.
Ways and Means Public Safety Emergency Management amending budget in connection with Crime Victims Grant.
This resolution amends the budget in connection with the receipt of funding for the Herkimer County Crime Victim Services Program. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second. I'll jump at once, folks. Mr. Whately. Any debate?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Corsi.
Like so many programs that we operate, that the state sets out well-intended, we've seen some nibbling away at the total dollars by the state. And I want to thank the person who's in this position for foregoing some other compensation so that we can continue to run this program.
Any more debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 140, voice.
Human Resources, Ways and Means amending Resolution 63 intentional funding for Health Net.
This resolution amends Resolution Number 63 of 2012 in connection with additional funding for the Herkimer County Health Net. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mrs. Miller and Mr. Shaw. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 141, voice.
Public Safety Emergency Management approving annual probation state aid plan and alternatives to incarceration.
This resolution approves the 2012 and 13 annual probation state aid plan and alternatives to incarceration services plan. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Poplinski, Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 142, voice vote.
Ways and Means Planning and Development amending budget in connection with TANF Summer Youth Funds.
This resolution amends the budget to reflect TANF Summer Youth Program funds received from the New York State. May I have a motion? Mr. Poplinski, second by Mr. Johnson and Mr. Shaw. Any debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. 143.
Human Resources, Ways and Means amending budget transferring funds for long-term care program.
This resolution amends the budget in connection with the extension of funding for long-term care program. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Shaw and Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 144 is a roll call.
Human Resources, Ways and Means for a staffing change in mental health.
This resolution approves staffing change, Herkimer County Mental Health Services Department. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Shaw, Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? Clerk will call the roll.
Schrader.
Yes.
Levine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Mano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Peplinsky.
Yes.
Force.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
16.
Resolution passes. 145 is a roll call.
County property, including sale of county-owned tax-acquired land.
This resolution approves the sale of county, approves the sale of county-owned tax-acquired property to bidders at the public auction held on June 2nd. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Schrader and Mr. Johnson. Any debate? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, while the sale was quite successful, I gather, people that were able to pull their properties and pay 3 times all the amount due. I just would mention that as we see this list with a significant amount of money, people losing property, this Properties Committee and various other forums of this legislature, there have been conversation with some municipalities asking whether taxes could be paid in installments, whether taxes could be paid with credit cards and all. And I understood that the installments is a problem because who gets the money first is paid. But we really haven't visited, again, any kind of plans to allow people to redeem their property in a more sensible, caring, charitable way. And at one point, I advised the Properties Committee of a few municipalities that had a way of doing installments over the course of 12 months when all other taxes stayed current, all costs associated with managing that were borne by those people. And I would encourage us to be looking at that when we celebrate the money that we got from this and the fact that some people paid 3 times to redeem their property, and that helps us meet what was put in the budget. That's kind of a sad commentary that we had to do that. And I'm hoping that the Properties Committee will again visit the idea of a way of helping people during these tough times. There's a lot of people that are hurting. Thank you.
Any other debate? Mr. Hartman.
Mr. Chairman, I concur with Mrs. Rose. That's a good point that I have been meaning to bring up. I guess it would have to go before the Properties Committee, but I got a call from an elderly gentleman recently that was almost in tears because he's afraid his house is going to be auctioned next year. And he suggested that maybe we could look into installments. I suspected that it has in the past, and there's some reason it may not be able to be done. I would hope that we can look at some ways to help people like that.
Okay. Mr. Russell.
I just want to mention, Mr. Chairman, that I don't think there's a person on this legislature that's ever celebrated the fact that we make money.
We could look at that possibly in the future. Thank you. Mr. Corsi. I'm sorry, Mr. Corsi.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think it becomes more and more evident that some people shouldn't own property. Maybe they should rent their entire lives. Long before there was a monthly utility bill, long before there was a telephone bill or a cable bill, we can go back 200 years, they had property tax bills. They might not have been very much, but those property tax bills are part of the reality of owning a piece of property. And when they come due, the cheapest thing you can do is pay them when they come due. The penalties and the interest that are accumulated on them are almost usury in nature. And people are foolish to let them go back and be re-levied and then get into a deeper and deeper bind. Get current, stay current, and it's the best deal you can do yourself. And maybe some people just can't manage that concept and should rent their entire life and not own. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Russell. Hand up for you. I'll get to you. Sorry. Mr. Russell.
Well, I just want to point out that this was not this particular legislature, but we did look at installment payments a few years ago. I don't know exactly what it was. I had brought it up. There are statutes within the current New York State law that allow for it. However, the feeling of the legislature at the time was that if people were having a difficult time, this sort of goes to Dennis's argument, if people were having a difficult time paying their taxes, how were they going to meet the installment as well as become current? So that's what happened back then. Obviously, we can bring it up to discussion again, just so people understand. That was discussed. And it was discussed quite a bit, and it didn't go anywhere, but that was the thing.
Mr. Hyde.
I just wanted to say, on the issue of credit cards, paying your taxes with a credit card, there's usually a fee attached with that. And that's where you run into the roadblock. The county paying a credit card company X amount of dollars to collect taxes. That if I walk in and pay cash or check,
Mr. Chairman, we did run into that in the village of Herkimer started taking credit cards a while ago. I was on the board, and the fee was passed along to the whoever is using the credit card. So the taxpayer wasn't paying an extra fee. It was whoever used the card had to pay that additional percentage.
Mr. Russell has I'll get to you. Mr. Russell.
Again, credit cards were discussed within the Ways and Means Committee along with our treasurer, and at that time it was decided that it wouldn't put the property taxpayer in the best position if they had to use credit cards, and there was concern in regards to the fees and how we would absorb them, which no one wanted to do, and how you can pass them on. And at that time, I think there was an issue on whether you could pass them on. So it'd be interesting to find out if you can.
Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, when I suggested an installment plan, and there are counties that are effectively doing it, I think it's critically important that the rest of the taxpayers who are paying their taxes on time not absorb any additional costs of doing it. But it's my understanding that there are at least 2 counties that I spoke with that roll all costs into the taxes due. They have 12 months to pay it, keep all other taxes current, and if they default at all, no bills go out or anything. I think it's worth looking at. As far as rolling and allowing people to use credit cards and rolling the fees into it, you know what? If of these pieces of property, 83 pieces of property, if 10% of them were able to have saved their property by using a credit card and pay their taxes in January and perhaps use their income tax return in February, I'm not for one thinking that government should control it. I think we should allow the option for it and be certain that the rest of the taxpayers are not burdensome with it. And I hope that there will be an honest and open discussion on it without us thinking that we need to budget the money for them. Thank you.
Any other debate? Mr. Shaw.
One way I think that the taxpayers could look at this, it wouldn't have as high a fee attached if constantly they're waiting for their income tax. Try going to a bank and setting up a small line of credit that you can repay to the bank when the income tax comes. There's a lot of businesses that operate under that method also. And it would be a lot less staff intensive for us to do some things that way. But, you know, again, a person has to have the ability financially to do that. You know, that's one of the big problems with our property values today. Interest rates are low, but people can't qualify for the loan. So, you know, it's a suggestion that they could look at.
More debate? Roll call. Clerk, call the roll.
Mano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Kaplinsky.
Yes.
Force.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekley. Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Krasinski.
Yes.
16.
Resolution passes. 146.
Public Safety Emergency Management Ways and Means Accepting Grant from State Thruway.
This resolution accepts a grant from the Thruway Authority or Canal Corporation for the Sheriff's Department for Navigation and Patrol. Motion by Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Hendricks, Mr. Poplinski. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 147, voice vote.
Public Safety Emergency Management standardizing purchases of lock sets.
This resolution standardizes the purchase of lock sets at the Herkimer County Correctional Facility. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Hyde. Any more debate, comments, or any debate? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, we recognize that there's locks that need to be fixed in the jail. We heard tonight Mr. Hendricks telling us the amount of money that we paid for boarding out. We heard the number of people that we boarded out. And we know that lock cells have been taken out of commission because of problems with the locks. This is great that we're doing this. I'm told that it was several months ago that it was first discussed. If we figure one cell down for one day, and that's a board out, 90, 85, 90, 95, whatever it might be, it's a considerable amount of money if we're not being able to stay on top of this. I hope that the fruits of this bid will allow us a direct source of parts and replacements so that we don't have to bear that cost. And when we start looking at how many we're boarding out, it's boarding out because we don't have capacity and not that we're boarding out because we have been unable to maintain locks and have the appropriate security. So I celebrate that we're doing this, and I hope it happens very, very quickly to help contain the boarding out costs because of poor repair. Thank you.
Mr. Hart.
Just to clarify, I missed the committee meeting. We have the original 147 and a 148 here. Originally, we were going with one company, and that has changed. Where are we going on right now? The corrected 148, or I should say revised?
It's just to standardize the blocks that we get. Standard.
Okay.
Not the full part. Okay. Any more debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution will pass. 148.
Public Safety Emergency Management authorizing bids for purchase of lock sets.
This resolution authorizes bids for the replacement of seven lock sets at the Herkimer County Correctional Facility. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 149.
Planning and Development in support of an application for economic development assistance.
This resolution supports an application for economic development assistance on behalf of the town of Frankfurt for a grant for Diorio Food. May I have a motion? Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Shaw and Mr. Kuklinski. Any debate? All those in, I'm sorry, Mr. Rose.
When this was presented to us this afternoon, or this evening at the committee, I asked, and I think these are great businesses, and I celebrate that we would get these kinds of jobs. I think it would be helpful if we know what the average salaries of the positions we're creating. I was told by Mr. Feen that information isn't available at this point in time. I have asked that once it is available, it may be made available to us. I'm concerned that sometimes when we're subsidizing $7.25 an hour jobs, minimum wage jobs, is that we're still lining people up to receive assistance in other ways, be it food stamps and Medicaid and whatever other supports. That we, if we are using incentives in ways, they should be jobs that will allow people to really make a living wage. And I celebrate that hopefully that's the case in this, and I look forward to receiving the information. Thank you.
Any other debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. 150.
Planning and Development supporting an application for economic development.
This resolution supports an application for economic development assistance on behalf of the town of Frankfurt for a grant for Northern Safety Company. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Johnson, Mr. Weekly. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 151.
Planning and Development supporting an application for economic development assistance.
This resolution supports an application for economic development assistance for a grant for gold medal packing. May I have a motion? Mr. Kuklinski, second by Mr. Shaw, Mr. Johnson. Any debate?
Mr. Chairman, I think that the people should know that might be listening to this. This is probably the first opportunity for the what we call a pumpkin patch. I think it's important to share.
Reminder that this is just an application. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 152.
Human Resources, Ways and Means, exercising option for transportation of preschool handicapped children.
This resolution authorizes a contract extension with Bernie Bus Service for the provision of transportation of preschool handicapped children for a period of 1 year. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mrs. Manning and Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 153.
Memorial for Charles Weldon.
This resolution is a memorial for Charles Weldon. May I have a motion?
Chairman.
Mr.
Could the
Clerk.
clerk read the resolution, please?
Absolutely. This is the line.
Whereas Charles M. Weldon departed this life May 9th, 2012. Whereas Charles Weldon was an outstanding man of integrity who served his community and the town family, first as tax assessor, then as town supervisor from 1998 until his untimely death. Whereas Charles Weldon was a science teacher for the Greenville Central School District in Greene County for 28 years, and over the years gave freely of his time to community organizations, including the Margaret Reaney Memorial Library in St. Johnsville, and is a member of the Indian Castle Church Restoration Society. Whereas the County of Herkimer and its residents has sustained a great loss by the passing of this dedicated public servant and citizen. Resolved that the County Legislature does hereby express its deepest regrets at the decease of Charles Weldon and hope that this expression of remembrance may in some manner console his family in their bereavement.
Thank you. May I have a second? Mr. Shaw, Mr. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Now go to comments by legislators. I asked Mr. Malone to put together an opinion on what is allowed. All received that in your mailbox. I just like to get and go over it again. Do what Mr. Malone, what is allowed, shouldn't be allowed, isn't allowed.
It's a relatively short memo. You want me to read it?
Yeah. Whatever you feel comfortable.
All right. Rule 6 of the Rules of the Legislature contains your business. Last item is comments by legislators. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. comments by legislators has been used for such things as announcing items of general public interest, request the legislature consider action on some item of official business. Recently, however, it's been used to attempt to reopen debate on items which have previously been voted on, sometimes on the same evening, or express opinions on matters which are the official business of the legislature but which are not on the agenda. The proper procedure when a legislator brings up an item which is the official business of the county during comments by legislators is for that matter either to be referred to the appropriate committee or for the attempted debate to be ruled out of order. The improper use of comments by legislators can be objected to by any member of the legislature, and the chairman can make the appropriate ruling to either refer that matter to a committee or declare the matter to be out of order. Clear?
Mr. Chairman, can I come up here, please? Before I begin, anybody have a stain stick? This wasn't part of what I was going to say, but Mr. Streeter, I give you credit for standing up here, and I apologize for speaking. I, for one, believe that the public should be respected regardless of whether we agree with what they say. Mr. Chairman, tomorrow we celebrate Flag Day. This flag symbolizes representative democracy, free speech, and an open exchange of ideas. The Federalist Papers and anti-Federalist Papers exemplify those traits. In this particular volume introduction, the distinguished political theorist Terence Ball writes, it has been said, and with some justification, that the new American Republic was a joint creation of Federalists and anti-Federalists. It was a new political system created not by the dictates of a lone legislator, but argued into existence and constituted collectively and by means of an intense debate between parties of different political persuasions and theoretical perspectives. In other words, public debate and political discourse is healthy, and in fact, in part, responsible for making the final version of the Constitution better than the initial draft, and served as the foundation for the greatest country on earth that this flag represents. Public discourse and debate by individuals of different persuasions played a part in the birth of our nation and have served us well ever since. Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill provided a good example of the value of free speech and free and open public discourse. Ronald Reagan most often did not agree with Tip O'Neill had to say about public policy, or vice versa. However, it was allowed to be said, not because they are friends, and they were, but because this is America, where we fly the banner of freedom and frown upon tyranny of the majority. I'm sure that we all saw Ronald Reagan live or via recording, and yes, it was taped. Utter those famous words, tear down that wall. In that vein, I say, stop attempting to put up a wall in this chamber where we fly the flag of freedom. This memo that was just read represents everything this flag isn't. Mr. Malone is our attorney. However, you will not find law or a precedent in any level of government, in any area of the state, for the opinion contained herein. It's an opinion.
That's completely incorrect.
Excuse me.
Why?
No, I'm not going to be misquoted like that.
You can
I'm not going to
speak
be slandered
afterward.
like that. Excuse me. There's plenty of law and opinions statewide on that. He's just this member is wrong.
Those are the rules.
I'm not going to say this.
I asked him for an opinion, he gave it.
Okay. Why? Because this is America. Furthermore, I was unable to, well, I'll skip over that part since Mr. Malone doesn't want to hear, but I did not find anything in the charter that would result or the rules of legislature. This memo is only
Mr. Chairman, it's also appropriate to mention that this is a matter concerning the rules of the legislature. That is an issue for the Committee on Administration and Veterans Affairs. And as I've just indicated, that matter could be referred to that committee.
I'm tying this in the Flag Day and freedom that this represents. And with all due respect, I would hope that you would allow that freedom. This memo's only purpose is to silence anyone that may not follow the leaders and or share their opinion on it.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Arms, please have a seat.
Mr. Chairman, I question why you're asking the speaker to stop.
Everyone's allowed.
Now,
No,
you know, baseless accusations have been going on.
They are not baseless.
I won't say you're
Mr. Malone, you would have every attorney like they do in anybody.
Refer this to committee where it should be. If you have a problem with Mr. Malone's opinion, we'll go to committee with it and we'll debate it there.
Well, I'm going to debate
We will debate
I'm going to debate it in public.
We have not hushed anyone. You have the right to speak, either through your legislator
If anybody would like a
or through the
I
committee.
will get it for it. I have it.
Listen, folks, that's
unnecessary and inappropriate.
This is a show every month. It cannot be that way.
Reprehensible personal attacks. And
It's America. Everyone's getting, you have your chance to speak. No one's denying you. No one's denying you. We have rules. You go through the committee process. Do you understand that? There's a committee
This is
system.
comments
The
by
federal
the
government,
legislature. Federal government, have you ever watched Congress? Comments by the Congress? Have you ever watched the Senate? The state legislature?
apparently you don't hear that. You're out of order. I'm running the meeting. Please respect it.
Okay, fine.
Everyone is given a chance to voice their opinion in this legislature. We have a set of rules. Some people want the rules adhered to. We're adhered to by the law. I'm trying to do my best, along with others. You're given a chance at the committee level to vet your opinion, your decision, whatever. To say that you're being silenced is wrong. To say that Mr. Malone has silenced you is wrong. It's in our rules. Read the rules.
I read the rules, and
It's
I
his
do not.
opinion.
I will respectfully request from Mr. Malone to show me the case law.
You can take it up with him
whatever
after.
Okay.
Okay, or to the
I
committee
will do
system.
it. I'm not on a committee.
You can go through the committee. You could call the chairman. Ms. Minnie will be more than glad to oblige you. I assure you that. Mrs. Rose.
Well, I guess when I was going to speak earlier, I would expect that, of course, this latest decision, first it was going to be somebody to pop up and allowed to interrupt, stand up, and move to adjourn. That happened last month, and now it's the latest memo. And I believe that that decision that Mr. Malone, who's an appointed officer of this county, has assumed a role that I contend is not his. This body, you talk about committees.
Then bring it to the committee.
Excuse me, sir. This has been brought. Mr. Bono, please allow them. I recognize that Mr. Malone, as the appointed officer, is there to advise all of us. However, when he takes a statement in our rules that says legislative comment and then proceeds to...
Mr. Chairman, can I have a point of order, please?
To expand.
I was told that it has to be on the agenda, be able to talk about it. You told me that 3 times. This is a matter for the committee. It's not on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, you put it on the agenda when you asked Mr. Malone to read his rules.
You told me 3 times tonight, it's committee matter.
You put it on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Russell, you're correct.
You put it on the agenda. You put it on by reading that memo tonight. You put it on during legislative comment. Just as you did.
No, I made a statement of clarification before we went to legislative comment.
Where's that in the agenda? That must be under communications then.
I'm allowed to do that.
You're allowed to do it all,
I'm allowed to
aren't
do
you?
that as chairman
You're allowed
of
to do it all.
this legislature.
So what do we have? We have selected enforcement of the rules.
Point, you're out of order.
You have selected
Please have a seat till he...
You said, and I don't want to, I don't want these opening.
You're out of order, Mrs.
I'm going to stay out of order. I am a child of the 60s and I will be civilly disobedient when you try continually to stop letting the people know what's going on.
Let the record show that Mrs. Rose is out of order.
Let the record show that Mr. Bono has consistently made his own rules, and the attorney who allows himself by 9 votes.
Second by Mrs. Sidney.
Chairman, I have a comment I wish to make.
I'll allow it before we go on.
No, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, it didn't take
Motion to
precedent.
adjourn takes precedent.
He is right. Adjourn.
I didn't hear the roll call.
All in favor? Aye.
Roll call, please.
Any opposed? Okay. Yes, for roll call. Roll call, please.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Hartman.
No.
Rose.
She had the doubt.
I'm sorry, did Mrs. Rose? No. Schrader.
Dennis had something to say, so no.
Woodson vote, yes or no?
No.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
No.
Mano.
Yes.
Smith. Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman. Oh, sorry. Kaplinsky.
Yes.
Corse.
No.
Russell.
Reluctantly, yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
I just wanted to.
Resolution passes. We're adjourned.